Hello, Rose Buddies. How is everyone doing today on this lovely Tarot Tuesday? We got some rain last night. I heard that pitter-patter through the window, and it washed away some of the smoke that's in the sky. I feel like I noticed a distinct note of blue up there amidst all the gray. I might have imagined it. It's one of those things where like you looked at it and you kind of like squint and you're like, I'm pretty sure it's a little bit blue. Oh yeah! Look at these new lovely graphics all around us. I had a bunch of iced tea one night and couldn't sleep and decided to do some graphic design. Hooray! You're already in your nightgown and bathrobes. It's that sort of evening apparently. Good. You know what? Good. Everyone get in your nightgowns. What? A hype? Was that a hype train? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Well, I forgot to move down the alert. It's going to be weirdly kind of above my head. That's fine. Hi, everybody. Thanks for starting a hype train. I want everyone in their bathrobes and nightgowns because that's the sort of cozy, laid-back stream it's going to be today. The world has been, a lot this whole year, but like extra a lot recently, and like I've been with the smoke in the air, I've been coughing, I've had headaches, I've had nosebleeds, and goodness knows we're not like the world immediately around us isn't on fire. So I'm really grateful for that. But, it's getting me down a little bit. Stretchy pants? Yes, this is a stretchy pants stream. For sure. Have you been doing the thing with the water? I don't know if I know what that means. Someone let me know if you can hear like a constant buzz in the background. That's we got a box full. Dusty did this. I don't get any credit for this. Dusty got us these big box fans and these air filters that he taped to the box fans, and we have those running on every floor of the house. Oh my goodness! Secretly Grander, thank you so much for gifting subs to folks. Mystery gift subs. Ooh, mysterious. I hope folks got some fun emotes from the hype train. Yes, Rin, is this a COVID cough, an allergy cough, or a smoke cough this week? I didn't know there was a thing we could do with water for helping with smoke particles ooze, so I'm going to have to look that up. Put a shallow water tray in front of one of those. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess Dusty, who's also watching, we should totally try that. The filters that we got are like already, like you can see how much they've helped. But going to the hardware store, they're totally wiped out of filters now. Particles will fall into the water and so it won't go back into circulation. Wow. Okay, well, I learned a thing. But okay, this is also why I'm saying it's a really laid-back stream, because life has just been kind of stressy. I haven't been keeping up with my intuitive tarot book, which is the workbook that we are going through every Tuesday. Tarot Tuesday. If this is your first time watching a Tarot Tuesday, basically I am a big tarot enthusiast, but I am far from an expert, and so I am learning with all of you. If you're watching this live, or honestly as a VOD, I encourage you to go grab your tarot deck if you have one and learn along, play along. But usually I do the exercises ahead of time so that I feel really prepared when I talk to you all. And I read the chapters, but I didn't go through and do the exercises. So as we go through the cards today, I am honestly going to be doing them right there with you. Live for realsies. The important part is water. The more water surface, the better. It doesn't have to be water volume. That's why a shallow tray is good. Okay, good to know. Good to know. But today we're going to be talking about the Suit of Wands. And then if we have time, here are my Wands cards. If we have time, we'll also talk a little bit about court cards, because I know people have a lot of questions about those. Wands are my favorite suit. I might not know what every single card in the wand suit means, but there are certain ones. The Ace comes up a lot for me. The Knight of Wands comes up a lot for me. And even though it's not necessarily like a positive card, the Ten of Wands also comes up for me a lot. Oh, well, thank you for lurking, Ooze. That's much appreciated, too. How do you feel about the suit of Wands, folks in the chat? So I'm really feeling some water. It's one of those days where water is like the most delicious thing. Yum, yum, yum. Also, do folks know what the suit of Wands represents? So we've talked about all the other suits in the minor arcana so far. We started with cups, tied to the element of water. Those were very much for questions about emotional situations and interpersonal relationships. Then we moved on to pentacles, which are tied to the element of earth and are very much about the material world, possessions, wealth, finances, career. Then we talked about a suit that I was slightly scared of, but I think I came around. That was swords, tied to the element of air. And those were very much about intellectual questions and pursuits. So like arguments or really difficult decisions you have to make. Let's see what folks are saying. Dusty says, wands have always felt comfortable to me. Ooh, Sarah, you got the Intuitive Tarot book? Yes! I'm so happy someone else picked that up. It's a really good workbook. Dusty says, active creative energy, forcefully alive. Tyler says, wands often feel way too high energy for me. Dusty says, the Wildwood Ace of Life says it the best for me, the spark of life. Oh, I got a little emote. Thanks, all. I'm going to share it in the chat. Choo-choo. It's a hype brain. Secretly Grander says, I don't pull wands very often, so I don't have a really strong feeling toward them. Oh, it was Ace of Wands, the Wildwood Ace of Wands. Oh my gosh, the emote I got is like a little angry brain. It has claws and like one big eyeball with an angry eyeball. Awesome. I love that. But yeah, so Dusty is spot on, and Tyler is spot on too. The wands are a really, really high energy suit. They are associated with the element of fire. And we've talked a lot about how these elements that are associated with each of the suits really have a duality to them. And fire is no different. It can be warming and protective. It could mean like the hearth that everyone is gathered around in the home, cooking foods to nourish you. But as we know, like so distinctly these days with the wildfires, fire is actually extremely destructive, especially when you lose control. Friday says, I'm coming around to wands, but still getting to know them. It's my least comfy suit, I think. Tyler associates them with taking action, passions, and travel? Question mark? So wands, to me, are associated with, like cups, creativity, but it's your passion, it's your motivation, it's your inspiration. It is tied to your sense of self, your ego. And then I'd say it's also very much tied to ideas. So different from thinking of swords, and being rational and logical. But your brain coming up with, gosh, probably like really new ideas that keep you really passionate. It's your purpose in life is what wands want to talk to you about. I feel like wands are your really, really intense friend, always doing something new, working on their vacations, but loving every moment of it and wanting to ask those like deep existential questions. Secretly Grander says, most of my chart is water and earth, so that makes sense that I keep my distance. Dusty says, that's why the Knight of Wands always scares me. He's going into some trouble since there's nothing to hold him back. Yes, we're going to talk about that even more when we get to the court cards, because we're gonna talk about the Page, Knight, Queen, and King, and what elements they are associated with. So yeah, the court cards sort of have like a dual element pairing for each of them that can help you remember what those meanings are. I read about that the other day when I was just reading through some chapters, not taking notes yet. I like to read through and then come back and take notes and then come back and do the exercises. And this time I just did my first read through. See, that's appealing to me, says Friday. I was always taught that wands equal air, ideas, inspiration, communication. That's what I thought too. And swords equal fire, action, passion, intensity. So I'm having a real tarot identity crisis. I always thought that too, Friday. I don't even know where I got that from. But when I found out that those two were actually swapped, it threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to think. But let's talk a little bit about attributes we might associate to this suit. So what are like personality traits you would associate with a wands person? And let's talk both positive and negative. And really I should put those in quotes because things that are traditionally positive or negative, it's really about how you look at it. Dusty, adding to that conversation with Friday, says, for me, air is knowledge and the idea, but fire is the creative drive and the energy to bring it into reality. I can see how that would be tough if you really tied swords to fire and tied yourself to that suit and element. Finding out that others kind of associate that element with a different suit would be confusing. Yeah, an identity crisis for sure. Tyler says aggressive. Yeah, I associate that with swords as well. But yeah, I would say that's a potentially negative thing about the passion of wands people. Very actiony. Passionate. Yes, Origami Shuriken. Hello, thanks for joining us. Passionate is a great word. Let's see. The Intuitive Tarot, some adjectives that I'll just call out from these few paragraphs talking about wands people. Energetic, charismatic, warm, and spiritual. But on the flip side, they could be egotistical or impulsive. Yes, Dusty just said impulsive at the same. Oh, and Origami Shuriken also said impulsive. Yeah, they're impulsive. That's sort of like if you have too much wands. But when thinking about negative attributes, you can also think of like not enough wands. So someone who feels really like they're lacking a sense of direction, or that their life is kind of like purposeless. Assertive. I would definitely say wands people are assertive, Rin. Let's see. Wands address what makes you tick, the author writes. Your personality, ego, enthusiasm, self-concept, and personal energy. Yeah. And it also calls out that wands can often relate to people who are Leos, Sagittarius, or Aries sun signs. Now, I'm an earth sign. I'm a Taurus. But I was reading about my, ascendant? I'm a Leo ascending, which I suppose, from what I read, means that that's the personality I like to project to everybody else. So that makes sense to me that I I find elements in all of the suits that I can relate to, but I really find wands to be really aspirational. Origami Shuriken says, sometimes good things happen when I let myself be impulsive and spontaneous rather than overthinking and second guessing. So it's not always a bad thing. You're right. There's a bunch of traits that like are maybe traditionally positive or traditionally negative, but too much or too little of anything can be dangerous. Oh my gosh, Tyler says Leo ascending makes so much sense with Lysa. That's what I thought too. I'd never really thought much about my signs except from my sun sign in Taurus, which I don't always fully identify with. But once I learned what my moon sign was and my ascending sign, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, those definitely feel like my personality to me. And those are like both your internal, like deep personality, like where your emotions are ruled and everything, so kind of your internal perception of yourself and your external projection of yourself, and those felt spot on. I don't know too much about astrology though. I'm a baby there, I'm learning. But yeah, so what does it mean when we get a spread and it's like all wands, just a bajillion wands? That means, let's see, we've talked about it's always seeking different types of solutions. And this one, wands for this suit, means that you're seeking solutions to issues in the realm of thought, or maybe ideas or projects that are in an early stage of development. And it also adds that you might be seeking a higher purpose or maybe meaning in your life. You're trying to see what is going to motivate and energize you. Whoa, your sun and moon are both in Leo, Origami Shuriken? That's really intensely Leo. All right, does everybody have their tarot decks out and all of their wand cards sorted into a neat little pile? Because we are going to go through card by card, even though I've not done this yet. This might be a little bit slower with me looking up some symbols I don't recognize in my little white book. But we're going to do it. We're going to go through all the wands. What does that mean, Dusty? Am I having audio issues, or is that something else? Oh, you're talking about the double Leos? Oh no, you're having computer stuff. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Dusty. Oh, you're hearing the fan, but it's not distracting. I can totally turn the fan off just for a little bit. But if it's not too bad, actually, if it's not too bad, and let me know if it is super distracting, then I will keep it on just so I can keep the smoke that's seeping into our house filtering. All right, thank you everybody for letting me know. So, here we have my Ace of Wands, and I'll do some descriptions for you all, but also for myself. There's a large wand with a North Star on it, pointing directly up. And on all of the aces, there's a new moon, a black moon. And there seems to be some sort of vine, it looks like a grapevine, that is climbing up this wand. Now, the Ace of Wands, like all of the aces, is sort of the essence, the purest essence of the suit. So I'm keeping that in mind as I'm interpreting it. But there are a few things. I feel like the wand, especially with the North Star on it, that tells me that, like, you know the direction you are meant to go. You are being, like, guided towards your passion. And these grapevines are verdant and flourishing, and they're climbing up the wand, so they also know this direction. So to me, this speaks to passion, but not vague passion, not aimless passion. This is passion that is on a very particular pursuit. That's what I get from my Ace of Wands, but I'm curious what you all are seeing in yours. Oh, and let me read the question that's associated with it in the Intuitive Tarot book. How can you follow your heart and live your passion? A nice basic question that makes very much sense for the wand suit. Next up, we have our Two of Wands. And this one reminds me a lot of the Two of Swords, which also has imagery about like different paths and directions and making decisions, which is very much what the Two of Wands is about. So we see there is some sort of like lake, river, or body of water, but it splits off into this stream that then splits off into two different streams. Alternately, I suppose you could see it as two streams that are flowing into one big body of water. Past the body of water, there is a forest, a curious bear peeking through the trees, and a big orb or globe in the background, which to me symbolizes goodness, just a world of possibilities. Those two streams are punctuated by these tall wands that are sticking out from each of the streams. So I had originally seen this as the water flowing away from the larger body of water to these two streams. Like these are two paths that you could follow. And this is about having different opportunities presented to you and needing to make decisions. But I asked my Cozy Moss Coven Discord to look at their Two of Swords and their Two of Wands and describe the symbols that they see there and what makes these two decision-making cards the same and different. And a lot of them also had these two wands sticking up, and they said that they looked to them like gates, which totally changes my perspective of my card. Maybe it's all of these different options are just paths towards this world of even more opportunities and decisions and ideas. Friday says, my Two of Wands is a bandito with two pistols crossed over the chest, pointed different directions. That's a very different kind of decision making. Alright, that's what the Two of Wands card looks like for me. So my keywords, if I were taking my notes in going through and doing the exercises, I would write decision making, and I would write world of opportunities or world of options. All right, so this one is really about exploring options, creating an action plan for the future. The question that this book asks is, how can you use your intuition to confirm your plan of action? Yeah, I'm kind of seeing all of these different paths as flowing together. They're different ways to achieve your end goal, which makes me think of plans. Dusty's keyword associated with his card is decision. Secret Gritly Grander says, my card is a road with wands on each side. Yeah, these wands kind of being treated like a gate. Yes. Here's Three of Wands. So on mine, it is just a bramble of leaves. They might be the tops of trees, and 3 wands sticking out from them, and this bird of prey, this hawk, kind of sitting at the top and surveying. You see through the parting of these clouds in the night sky a very bright star, presumably the North Star. This 3 of Wands, to me, what stands out is that this bird is up high and it looks very still. Often you can see birds, especially hawks, like in the same deck, the Knight of Swords is a hawk and he's swooping down. There's lots of action. There isn't. This is a very still, serene scene. To me, this is about pausing, surveying, kind of getting a bird's eye view, and re-finding your North Star. Yeah, that's what this means to me. Let's see what the question is. 3 of Wands, what can you create with the new opportunities available to you? Oh, this meaning seems very different from the meaning in my little book. Dream bigger than your limitations as you expand and grow. Take the next step towards your vision and broaden your horizons. Friday says, mine is 3 skulls with a red flower growing from the top of each, and a bird sitting on top of one with a book in its mouth. What an eclectic card. Mine has a body of water with wands as not stepping stones. I can't find the words tonight, but again, it's a pathway, albeit one with difficulty. Interesting. I should also be referencing my little white book, which is neither little nor white. And these keywords they have are expansion, focus, overseeing a project or plan, and direction. Ooh, the branches on here are apparently Japanese knotweed, which speak for rapid growth and resilience. Oh, a lot of this is about clarity and focus. So kinda, I touched on a few of those themes, but not all of them in my understanding of the symbols. Oh, is knotweed evil? Is it like ivy, Dusty? Okay. 4 of Wands. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I've not encountered this card before. There are 4 wands. There's a bunch of emphasis on the roots of these plants, but it is also showing a cocoon and a butterfly. So I wonder if that means the 4 of Wands has something to do with transformation. What does everyone else's 4 of Wands look like? I'm wondering if those plants are anything particular. Oh, there's sage. Okay. Sage is an herb that is like very protective in its energies. And the card, one of the symbols that the artist calls out are also those roots, which speak to foundation and family and beginnings. The chrysalis, the little cocoon here, isn't actually speaking to transformation. I think that's interesting that they included a butterfly. That confuses me a little bit. But it speaks to safety, security, and a safe place. Which also you can kind of get in the shape of these wands. They're almost like a little fort. Keeping the cocoon safe, keeping this little baby sage plant safe. It's about respite, security, connection, and peace. And these roots speak to a foundation. Mine is a woman under a canopy surrounded by gifts and offerings. Oh, we've kind of got that canopy symbolism. 4 for me is celebration and has a bunch of folks dancing around a bonfire. I guess you can only celebrate when you feel safe, but also Yep, Wildwood Tarot switching stuff up again. Oh, let's ask the question. Four of Wands. Who can you surround yourself with to enjoy happiness and stability? Oh, this one, you know what? This could be my card, switching it up. Because the Four of Wands definition here is joyful celebration with loved ones, feeling supported and secure in a home environment. So those ideas are tied together. Mine focuses more on that second phrase. Yours focuses more on the first. So, yeah, so that Sage is speaking to me, protection, the wands are forming this little home, and the cocoon is keeping you safe and secure while magical things happen. Oof. Okay. This Five of Wands is a card that I have encountered before in my readings with this deck. You see these 5 different wands are all in like a crisscrossy shape. And similarly, there are these 2 deer who are fighting with their horns, and their horns are locked together. There is a stream of water that isn't moving. It looks stagnant because all of these pebbles and rocks have been kicked up. Oh, hey, Broxette. No worries for being late. It's nice to have you. So, the Five of Wands, if I'm remembering correctly and reading these symbols, because, right, this is about reading intuitively, so it's really about what the symbols mean to me, so there's no wrong. Oh, yay! Hi, Bri Games, thanks for joining. Time for Laser Maze Mission Impossible style, but with wands. Yeah, secretly grander. You nailed it. So 5 of Wands here. They are in a, like, locked match. Nothing is going to give unless one of them compromises or gives up or something changes. And this water is not going to flow until these rocks are moved. This card is telling you something needs to change, something needs to give. Let me double check the keywords that the artist calls out. Well, yes, the conflict and struggle with the deer, matched forces and misunderstandings. The stags interlocked represents stalemates and stubbornness, and the water being still represents blocked communication or action. You really don't like this one? What does yours look like, secretly grander? 5 for me is a creepy, smiling dude in a sombrero holding a box with 4 matches. The 5th is lit in his hand. Oh, I don't like that either. I don't even know what to think of that, except for please get away from me. All right. Even if the card's meaning makes you uncomfortable or you don't like it, what I really like about Intuitive Tarot is the questions that it asks that kind of lets you take any card, positive or negative, or however you view it, and try to ask a question that is productive. So, this one asks for the 5 of Wands. How can you direct the energy of the group for ideal outcomes? So there's no use being stubborn and opposing people. You might need to choose your battles here, or you might need to see other people's differences and strengths for what they can add rather than take away. It's the energy you don't like. Tyler says, 5 is my favorite and most memorable of the wands. The deadlock feeling always stands out. Yeah, there's certain cards that just, like, really, really call out to people. And, like, stick in your memory. Ooh, okay. 6 of Wands. Here is a card that I've not encountered before in my readings. So this is interesting because it's only plants. There's no animal or insect or bird. There's daffodils. I recognize those. Most of them haven't bloomed, but one is big and blooming, and there's a bunch of mushrooms at their feet. And of course 6 wands that match the daffodil leaves in the back behind, as a backdrop. I'm not sure what type of mushroom it is. So, although they look like ones I've seen at Whole Foods before, so I feel like they're edible mushrooms. Like a trumpet mushroom, maybe. But I also know daffodils are an early spring flower. So I wonder if this one is about blossoming ideas, although that almost feels sort of like an Ace of Wands thing to me. So I'm really not sure. I'm going to look to see if those mushrooms are a particular type of mushroom. Mine is a lady sitting on 6 wands as if they're a slide. That's really fun. It does look like a trumpet mushroom, right? Okay, thank you for validating what I thought it was, Friday. Because I know you eat weird plants. So you would recognize an edible mushroom. Black trumpets. Oh, they speak to victory and achievement. They might be like, burr, 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 announcing that you've done something well. The daffodil isn't speaking to being a spring flower. It's about radiance, attraction, and admiration. Especially this one, like, really gorgeous flower. And also, you know what, daffodils are also trumpet shaped. I didn't think about that. So then, okay, so not reading what the meaning is. This speaks to me, it's like all of these trumpets announcing victory. Maybe this card speaks to achievement. My 6 is a group of travelers migrating across a great distance with the wind in their faces. Ooh, that is very much about, like, determination. Six of Bows speaks to abundance. Okay. This, there's a very long description. It's longer than a page. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it talks about how, like, the petals seem to glow with this inner light on the daffodils, attracting glances from everyone who passes. And it looks like these little trumpet mushrooms are heralding the bright yellow blooms standing in the center. This card represents accomplishment and confidence. Oh, success, but also public recognition. Okay, so really honing in on how trumpety everything looks and how it's just the one gorgeous daffodil being like, look at me, next to all these other daffodils. That's going to help me remember this one, I think. It's all of these trumpet mushrooms calling attention to this one big, beautiful bloom. And let's see what the question is. How can you have faith in yourself and what you have accomplished? So what can you do to get that confidence that this card stands for? Dusty's card stands for abundance, and it's 6 sticks that point towards a campfire surrounded by baskets of fruit. That is so wholesome, says Rin. Are you talking about this really happy, confident flower and how you can be as confident as this one daffodil? Oh, wow. So what are these? Does anyone recognize this? Is this what, like, wasps? No, it doesn't look like a wasp. Does someone recognize this bee-like bug? I don't know. It kind of looks like a bee. It's stripy, but it looks super menacing. This is the 7 of Wands. Hold on. It looks like there's some sort of berries all over the place. 7 wands upright, but there's lots of holes in them. Folks think they're moths. Maybe they might be cicadas. Oh, the mushrooms praising the flower. Bry Games 98 says, thank you, trumpet mushrooms, for believing in us. Trumpet mushrooms will always have your back. But this is a very disturbing card to me. I don't know if it's meant to be, but just that the wands are full of holes and these creatures presumably are, like, living in these wands. It makes the wands creepy to me. Okay, I need to look up what type of bug this is. Alright, so the fruit I recognized were raspberries. Oh, these are bees. They're carpenter bees. They are hovering defiantly near their nests. Oh, okay. Oh. Alright, so like I suspected, this card is not as menacing as I thought it was. I just find things secretly inside other things make me very frightened. So sometimes bug nests freak me out. But the carpenter bees are speaking to willpower and steadfastness. They're protecting these like coveted raspberries that are by their fence. Yes, see, raspberries, something coveted or valuable, worth protecting. And the wands are planted firmly in the ground. This card is about defense, assertiveness, standing ground. Oh, Friday. I vote trumpet mushrooms for prom queen. They're so nice. Cadius Clay energy on this one. Yeah, let me see if there's anything else. Let's see. Okay, the Seven of Wands represents strong willpower and steadfastness. There will be times when others try to take what isn't theirs or stifle another's voice or opinion. Standing firm on beliefs and values will earn the respect of others. Don't back down. And I will add, be the carpenter bee. Ooh. Okay, so Brocksat says that makes sense. My deck uses spears instead of wands, and my Seven of Spears has a single spear stuck upright, guarding a stone entryway. Are the 6 other spears anywhere, or is it really just that single spear on the card? But because that is interesting that there would be just one spear. Be the bee, says Friday. Oh, carpenter bees are harmless to humans. They don't have stingers, and the females are docile. Much of their attention goes into chewing through wood to make nests. But if you're in the presence of one, you know that they are fearless and will hover loudly inches from your face to protect their home. Brittany B. Games, thanks for following. The stare down is enough to deter any would-be predator into walking away. Ren, you got the package! Hooray! Oh, I was wondering how long it was going to take to get to you. I know you're not far, but you're in another country, so... Yeah, it is so slow. I'm really happy. I hope you enjoy all the goodies inside. Brock said that's really, really interesting. It does make sense now knowing the meaning of the card. But they do, typically, the number of items of whatever the suit is represented. I wonder if that kind of difference can help you remember the meaning of the card. Okay, knowing now that these carpenter bees are harmless, but they will buzz in your face, and I just imagine the bee being there and like doing this waggy finger thing, but like with one of its little leggies, and just chatting its head off in front of you to deter you. That makes this a lot less scary of a card to me. Oh, I just got a colorful pop socket for my phone that says "Be like the bug, be brave" with a cute little buzzer. I do love bees in general. This one just looked real scary just because it's different. Oh, those cards are so beautiful. Thank you. This is the Forger's Daughter deck. Okay, we're moving. Oh, wait, did I read the question? Seven of Wands. What do you stand for, and how can you draw on your self-belief to protect it? Ooh, I love that question. Okay. The Eight of Wands. So there are 8 wands sticking up, a few what look like citrine stones. Not 100% sure what those stand for. But these helicopter maple seeds swirling around with the wind in between these wands. This card is swift and moving and flexible to me. Okay, first the little white book. Ooh, yes. Maple seeds, so they are on the wind, and they're being carried away, letting nature take its course. The citrine that I noticed is about positive energy and manifestation. Yes, citrine's often used for, finance and money related things, so it's like that attraction. And the wands are like kind of directing the energy. So here, this card, the keywords the artist has written is unstoppable force, being propelled forward. This is a card about motivation. Citrine is my birthstone. It's about energy and light, vitality. Mine look like meteors passing through the sky with the sun in the background. Oh, that's like awing, but also like a little bit menacing. Like, where are those meteors going, though? Just like shooting stars sort of meteors. That does feel like an unstoppable force, like on a cosmic size. This is a very motivating card, and I really like it. I love the sense of movement in it. And I need to remember this movement is, it's in all sorts of directions, but it's also moving forward, which is really what life is like, right? Like you sometimes feel like you're moving backwards or like parallel to the direction you want to go, but sometimes life just kind of takes you in that way, and it's all moving forward in the end, just in a wibbly wobbly sort of way. All right, the Nine of Wands. Here is a card that I have not encountered. There is like this really tall rock or rock hill, and 9 wands all sort of like balanced and some are toppled over, and there's a plant, another berry type of plant, but a lot of the berries have fallen, and this one little mouse is ignoring the berries that have fallen on the ground and is climbing all the way up this mountain, up the top wand, to get the berries still on the vine. This mouse looks very determined to me, like driven by their passion for these shiny berries at the top. I'm seeing just at a glance that the Nine of Wands is related to resilience and perseverance, so I think those symbols that are jumping out to me are sort of spot on. So the mouse here represents being agile, quick, and persistent. And these are blackberries. They're a reward, a goal, a desire. And everything's moving upward, directing energy. All these wands are pointing up. The rocks, though, are a difficult path that you might be faced, even while you're very motivated. So yes, I had said that this was a really determined little mouse. This card is about willpower, determination, also adaptability, and that focus to keep you going. Dusty says 9 of bows, respect, which is definitely a product of resilience, growth, and perseverance. Oh my gosh, there's so many November babies. Oh my gosh. November, we're going to have to do like a special birthday for everybody Tarot Tuesday. Ooh, let's read the question associated with this. How can you establish firm boundaries to protect your energy? You will reach your goal and eventually prosper if you maintain your position. So this is about like dealing with those challenges, is that question. I really like this card and the imagery on it. Okay. 10 of Wands is one I know pretty well. Here is an ant. It is carrying a bundle of 10 wands plus some rocks, one of which looks like a fossil. What? Oh, no, Dusty's going on about birthdays in some sort of way. Oh no, we've got now I understand what Friday was saying about the community mode. I just realized I have the prompts going up. But you know what? Enjoy some tea. Enjoy some Friday tea. We'll keep it going for this stream. My card is 8 wands as a gate, while a woman holds a wand as a staff as her side. So this ant is carrying so much stuff, and ants can carry way more than you'd think they would for what tiny creatures they are. But I bet even this ant is struggling. To me, the 10 of Wands is a warning card. A warning to not let yourself get burnt out, to not take that passion and commit to too many things, because there are downsides to that. Sometimes you need to edit what you take on and make sure that you have enough of that fire and passion to go around instead of spreading yourself too thin. 10 of Bows is responsibility. Yes. The things you create end up needing to be maintained. Yes, exactly, Dusty. Let's see if I missed anything in the symbols. Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that fossil. It speaks to under pressure and this feeling of heaviness. So it's not even just the sticks, but if you take on too much, they all suddenly become like even heavier than just the sum of their totals. A heavy burden, responsibility, under pressure, a commitment. And Intuitive Tarot asks, how can you manage your time in order to free yourself up for rest when you need it? That is so important. Okay. The next cards we have are the court cards. So here I actually want to pause and talk about court cards a little bit, and then we're going to use these wand cards as our examples to look at them. I've talked about it a little bit, but can folks tell me what are the court cards? What do they mean? Why are they different from the other numbered minor arcana? And I shall hydrate as chat catches up. Oof, I'm so parched this week. Oh, Friday. Your 10 is, that's saucy. It's a saucy 10. My 10 of Spears is a single spear with 2 ravens in the foreground with multiple steep hills and a fort on top of one in the distance. My book asks, where is the help to carry this? That's a really interesting way to look at the 10. Okay. No one's typing it, so I'm just going to jump in as I tried to cross my legs, but I'm like wearing a skirt or a dress. So I just did like an awkward movement. That's all. That's just a gift to you. The court cards are your, they might have different titles depending on the deck, but typically it's the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. And in a spread, these are the cards that will most often represent people or personality traits. Depending on how you interpret them, they are like the other cards. They can speak to situations and everything. I think as you get familiar with them, you'll intuit, you'll have a feeling of what they're meant to represent, and you know what? That's what they represent then. But like I said, most typically interpreted as people, personality traits. When they show up in a spread, the writer of this intuitive tarot, Bridget Esselmont, says that they get a lot of questions about court cards and people asking, how am I supposed to interpret this? Is this in my spread? Is this like a different person? Could it be my neighbor who's kind of like this? Or this really seems like my sister. Do you think it could be my sister, but it could also be me? And Bridget recommends keeping it simple. In fact, they use the acronym KISS for Keep It Simple Seeker. And they say that you can set the intention for yourself that whenever a court card comes up in your spread, you're going to interpret that as something for yourself. So in this case, they're not representing people, but different aspects of a person, different aspects of yourself. Now, depending on the spread, there might be a question that asks, what are external resources you can call upon? And if a court card shows up then you can think of that as a different person in your life and consider in that context who that person might be. But in all other cases, when a court card just randomly shows up, you're doing your daily draw or something, if there isn't something suggesting that it is someone else as part of a spread, think of it as you. The court cards are all about you, the many different facets of who you are as a complex human being. Now, the different court cards all have a different energy about them. The page, which is symbolized in my cards with sort of the beginning of this crescent moon. Oh, did I skip the page? Oops, yes I did. The beginning of this crescent moon. The page is this very youthful energy, this fresh energy. They are somebody who's just beginning their journey. They are open to learning. They are curious. I often find, like, even in, like, the pentacles, the page card, whereas all of the pentacles are very practical, grounded people, the page is maybe the spunkiest of them. Then you get the Knight. And the Knight card is someone who has some experience. They've been on their journey for a while, but they don't have that mastery that the Queen and King have. They are someone who's extremely action-oriented. So you take what that suit means and you combine it with action and rushing forward, or taking that suit's meaning almost to excess. That is what the Knight is. My page is a little cutie in a top hat on a swing holding a rolled up piece of paper. Yeah, there you go. That youthful page energy. A Knight is like a Knight, I would say, is more like, I don't mean young adult like a teenager and how they're referred to as young adults, but like someone in their 20s and 30s is what I think of as a Knight. Now the Queen, traditionally, both the Queen and King speak to mastery, but they speak to it in different ways. They approach it in different ways, and a lot of decks associate the Queen with traditionally feminine energy and the King with masculine energy. So the Queen comes first, and she is someone who is a master of emotions for cups, or rational thinking for swords. But she's still very open and receptive. She's very nurturing. So you combine that energy with the meaning of the suit and someone who has their shit together with what the suit is regarding. And there you have the Queen. She's someone who knows well enough to guide, but does so in sort of like a kind, subtle way. Her leadership has a gentle touch to it. Oh, I haven't really thought of them as separate since my Arthurian deck tries to incorporate the story into the cards. I have the Maiden, Knight, Queen, and King, but I can see how these associations can apply. Oh my gosh, Friday! You're a saucy deck. So that's the Queen. The King, on the other hand, is the master of his suit, and he knows it and acts like he knows it. So he's someone who is very balanced, which is very different from the Knight, who can be like very much an extreme or a lack of something. No, the Knight, I guess it would be in reverse. There might be a lack of something. The King always has like a sense of leadership. Just imagine like this suit, and what it means, and what is like the best possible form of what this suit could mean, and that's typically what the King stands for. So let's, oh, yes. So the other thing that the chapter about court cards talks about is that each of the court cards is associated with an element. The page is associated with air. And to me that feels like it's someone who is learning and studying and in school, and so that's where that intellectual air element comes in. Oh, I should also mention that the page is often like a page is like a messenger sent from your tarot deck to tell you something. So pages are associated with air. Knights are associated with fire. Queens are associated with water, and kings are associated with earth. Let me just make sure, said all of that right. I'm pretty sure, just based on what I know of cards in general. Yes, the king is earth. Okay, good. All right, so that means that every court card has up to 2 elements associated with it. Sometimes those elements will be the same. So the king, which is earth, of pentacles, which is earth, is double earth. And so you think of that as like double strength of what earth and pentacles stand for. Sometimes they might be complementary. So something like the Queen of Pentacles is water and earth, which pair well together. And those cards are because their elements mesh, they're pretty straightforward cards. You can trust this court card, if it were a person, at face value. Sometimes, though, cards can have opposite elements paired together. So, staying with cups, because we haven't gone through wands yet, you can think of the knight, which is fire, of cups, which is water. Those are opposite elements. And what that means, this book describes, is that your cards have almost a duality to them. They have a shadow self to them. And so what does that mean for the Knight of Cups? Well, we've talked about him before. The Knight of Cups is someone who's very sensitive, who sees the world in almost a romanticized sort of way, but his dark self, his shadow self, is that, well, actually he can be like quite moody, maybe even overly sensitive, or too emotional at times, depending on how you're reading this card, whether it's reversed or not, if you read reverses. So understanding what elements the court cards are associated with and what elements the suits are associated with can really help you remember what these court cards represent and intuit meanings when you draw them. I found that table about like how the elements all like mishmash super duper helpful. I really loved that. So we just got a little bit of a primer on court cards. So let's take a look. Here you have this cutest little bird that's shaped like a ball. I love tiny birds. This tiny bird, is it carrying a wand or is it resting on a wand? I choose to believe this, I mean, it's not flying, so I think it's sitting on the wand. But I choose to believe this tiny bird could carry this wand if it wants. And there are these olives? No, they look like a berry of some sort. Because they don't look like olive leaves to me. Yes, it is a borb. A bird orb. I feel like what type of bird this is going to be really important. So let me look at what the type of bird it is and if those are all indeed olives. And then let's figure out what those mean to us. This is a little sparrow. Moving quickly and freely among the branches of a great mulberry tree. And she's grabbing at berries, and as many as possible, enjoying their sweet taste. Oh, I love this little story. The lower branches have been picked clean of the purple fruit, so the sparrow must climb higher and higher into the canopy to reach the tiny treats. Luckily, her sense of adventure is boundless. So, let's see. She's got that, like, swift, youthful energy, being light-footed. typical of a page. In fact, one of the key words here is that she has a childlike enthusiasm. She's a free spirit. This is a very positive card. This is a card about good news. And there's like an uplifting energy to her. This is about someone who's starting a new adventure. This adventure just happens to be one where you're eating some berries. A good little adventure for a good little bird orb. Yeah, the Page of Wands is someone beginning an adventure to me. And let's see what the question asked would be. What could you create if you had no limitations? I feel like this bird is just hopping. I mean, it can fly, so risk is low, but it's just hopping from branch to branch higher and higher because it has those wings. It can fly. There's nothing holding it back. All the best adventures should start with food. Right there with you, Broxette. Next, we have the Knight of Wands. Ooh, and this one is a snake. So every time I think of Knight of Wands, I actually think of this other deck that I have that has the Knight of Wands just kind of like galloping away from the castle. And to me, the Knight of Wands is someone who, he's like the knight's knight. And in fact, if we think back to, actually wait, I want to go back to the page and what we just talked about. It is the page, so it is air of fire. So you add air to fire, and air just stokes the fire. And so I feel like, yeah, this is a very straightforward card. This is someone who just loves adventure and is excited to do new things. You go to the Knight of Wands, and that is fire of fire. So that is similar to air and fire. You add air to fire, you get more fire. But this is almost like without limits. This is too much fire. All I remember from when I used to draw this a lot from another deck was that the Knight of Wands is almost sort of a warning. It could be good that you have this fervor, that you see this adventure and it's all you want and it's all you're going for and you're laser focused on it. But it could also be bad if you're going to pursue that adventure at no matter what the cost, which I feel like the Knight of Wands does. He's extremely intense, aggressive in that way. Maybe too focused on what his passion is. Yeah, I remember it a lot from that. So I think it's interesting that he's portrayed as a snake. I wonder what that means, because, I mean, I don't know, it looks like a friendly snake. The knight never comes up for you, says Brittany. Let's see. So this is a garter snake who is very charming and self-assured. And the flowers are forsythia, which are fiery, attention-grabbing, and bright. A garter snake catches something in its gaze, and it winds its way up a post to get a better view. So that kind of, if I think of it that way, this snake has like locked eyes on whatever it is pursuing. I think I've gotten a single card from the Suit of Wands ever, says Secretly Grander. That's so interesting. The artist associates their knight with primarily, I don't know why my voice wavered there, with primarily traditionally positive words: confidence, passion, charming, exciting, fearless. But it is in reverse that you get that warning that I was talking about. They can be arrogant, hot-tempered, manipulative, and have a poor self-image. Yeah, sometimes I worry if they're almost like too fearless, they're gonna get burned. The question asked is, do your ideas and actions align with your goals? The Queen. So this is water of fire. So I wonder if we're going to see that shadow self show up. I'm not sure what type of botanical this is, but we have this beautiful monarch butterfly. Even though I'm scared of butterflies, I'm calling her beautiful. She's pretty as an illustration on a card. And butterflies to me are a symbol of transformation, but and they're really like beautiful and painted lovely colors, so I associate them with creativity as well. I want to know what type of plant this is, though. This is goldenrod, showy, eye-catching, attraction. Yeah. A painted oh, it's not a monarch, it's a painted lady butterfly. Beautiful, social, and engaging. Painted lady butterfly stops to rest in a field of bright goldenrod. Her wings are eye-catching, and everyone who passes by stops to admire. A light-colored, ornately carved wand stands at the ready and pointed toward the sky. A gibbous moon hangs low overhead. So she is confident and strong-willed. And she's a social butterfly, as far as the symbol goes, and she's very high energy. So this is someone who knows what their life purpose is. So I'm trying to think of someone who's mastered their suit. She knows what her life purpose is. She's very social. That's kind of like the open, nurturing side of her. And so she's very confident. The shadow self, I feel, is like in that reverse. I wonder if is that all for show? Do you actually lack confidence? Here says, lack confidence, obsessed with image and what others think, vengeful and hot-tempered. Yes, the shadow self is that is all for show, and that she's kind of trying to fake it till she makes it. And yet, I feel like I identify a lot with this Queen of Wands, especially in that sort of like projecting that you are more confident than you are, not in a manipulative way, but in I don't even know, but in like trying to put your best foot forward, in just trying your best sort of way. All right, King of Wands. Ooh, again, a card without any sort of creature on it. That is very unusual. So here we have these really gorgeous, they almost look like peonies to me, or some sort of really fancy windflower. There are these really, really tall birch trees and this really tall wand inset with some sort of light green gem. Brockset. My Queen of Spears says she weeps for the wounded earth. I see the forests cut down, the earth washed away, the poison in the waters, the unseasonal winds. Serve the land with dedication. I feel like this is applicable to the world at the moment. Oh, that is a really timely interpretation of this card. Okay. Oh, so again, it's not a birch tree. It's a tulip poplar tree. And tulip poplar flowers. Ooh. So he is, let's see. So Earth of Fire. Oh, that's also sort of like opposites. Not quite so opposite as water and fire. But this is these trees on this card are standing so strong and tall. And these flowers are like really flashy and beautiful colors. So I feel like this is... He makes me think of like a politician, but in a nice way. Like he's someone who, like, well, maybe I just think a leader. He's a very charismatic leader. He is, he's confident in himself. He's charismatic. He's influential, I would say. Let's say it says experienced here, also very charming, but he might be in reverse, too rash or quick to act and risk taking. You get a lot of like hot tempered, maybe going too far, being too risky, like a lot of those negatives associated with the wand suits. I suppose that is the shadow of the wands. That is such a sad card, Friday. Especially now. Like, it doesn't feel so abstract, right? So those were the wands cards. How are people feeling about the wand suits now? I know that when we started, for a lot of you in the chat, wands felt like not something you felt very close to. You didn't know a lot about the wand suit. You never drew wands cards. Still not a fan, to be honest. That's fair. It surprised me so much last week when I was like, we're going to do swords. I'm really terrified. Who's scared with me? And no one else raised their hands. I feel a tiny bit better now that I understand them a bit more, says Brittany. You're too water and earth aligned. So Friday really currently associates themselves with fire and swords because they had lined those up, and didn't associate themselves with wands because those were linked with air, which felt very not Friday. And now that those elements are switched, she's having an identity crisis. I'm kind of the opposite. I very much associated with wands, especially when I thought they were tied to air, and seeing them tied to fire is kind of throwing me for a loop, because fire is maybe like the one element that I was kind of staying away from. So it's been interesting kind of relearning wands through this lens of fire, this ring of fire. Dusty says, wands are my homies and still are. I find I'm a very like passionate person, driven by like this strong like motivation for like every project and creating things, and everything's a passion project for me. So I feel really strongly about wands. And I still do, but now I feel like I understand them a little bit better, and I also understand the like darker side of wands a little bit better, and the warnings that the wands cards have for us. It's not all just go, 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 create and make. It's also questioning, are you taking on too much? How can you make sure you're not coming into conflict, if you're not being too hot-tempered, or that you're not like acting too quickly, that there's balance. Oh, hey, Grit and Greg. Create love and don't be afraid to live, says Dusty. I feel like my personal associations with suits and elements, where I fit, is always in constant motion. Yeah, I don't think you have to pick one suit. I definitely feel like, especially with our having gone through all of our minor arcana suits, I appreciate all of them more. I appreciate swords more. I'm not as scared of them. Pentacles, I never really got excited about, but I appreciate what pentacles have to tell me a lot more. Think light and warmth, and it may be less scary than fire, says Grinning Greg. Yeah, for swords, something I really loved on Twitter was someone said, don't think of them as swords. Someone who they were learning to read from said, think of them as beams of light, that they're shining light and revealing certain things, breaking through the shadows. I loved that also because it sounds like laser swords. Let's see. What I'd really love, though, is for the court cards, just to share a few of the exercises that are in the back. Some of these, if you're in the Cozy Moss Coven Discord, I'm probably going to use as prompts. But the first one is, which court card are you? Think about the different people in your life and pick a court card that represents you in those situations. Oh, how you relate with different people. For example, when I'm on live training with thousands of people around the world, I'm channeling my inner Queen of Wands. And when I'm at home on the weekend creating a new macrame wall hanging, I'm the Page of Cups. And if anything resonates with you in particular, you can write it down in your tarot journal. I think that's really nice, kind of thinking about who you are in different scenarios. And then you're also relating to the court cards in all different sorts of ways, so that if you are setting the intention that when I draw a court card, it's relating to an aspect of myself, then you can draw on those thoughts that you've already had. The other exercise I really liked was developing court card profiles. And that means for each court card, writing your thoughts on each of the following. So for each court card, write their character strengths, their character weaknesses, what you think their personal mantra would be, what their career or life path or paths might be, and what situations you associate with them. So for example, they said, I might write for the Page of Pentacles that they are practical and well-planned, but conservative and risk-averse. Manifest your dreams as their mantra. They might be a small business owner, an accountant, a business graduate, a lifelong student, and you associate them with starting a new job and turning an idea into a project. Oh, hey, TK. Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh, okay. I'm just going to read you all. There's just one more. One more activity with court cards. Just these exercises in particular I found really fun, and if you keep a tarot journal, gosh, these are going to be able to fill some pages for you. The last activity is go speed dating with the court cards. So you select 2 court cards, and then you imagine those 2 characters sitting at a table together with 5 minutes to get to know each other. What do they look like? What do they say to each other? How's their chemistry? Is it a match made in heaven or a complete turnoff? And then record your insights in your tarot journal. I feel like that would be really fun, especially with Friday's really saucy court cards, to see them go speed dating. Oh, the court cards speed date each other. You pick 2 cards, and then you kind of imagine what the conversation between them would be like. Well, we did 2 chapters. We learned about the Suit of Wands. This was a little more loosey-goosey than it usually is, since I didn't go through and do all of my exercises fully on my own. So I hope you will forgive, or I hope you gain some insights anyway. And then we also did a primer on what court cards mean, which I thought was very helpful. We talked about the different types of energy that the 4 court cards each resonate. And we talked about what elements are associated with them and what that means when pairing with the elements they have in the suit. If it's the same, or if they're complementary, or if they're sort of opposite elements. What does that mean for the meaning of the card, and how can that help you remember what those cards represent so that you can do readings more intuitively. So next week we will continue Intuitive Tarot, and just as a little preview, I'll tell you what the next chapter is. It is, and I am so excited, learn about the Major Arcana. Finally! Dusty teases me because he says everyone who learns tarot starts with the Major Arcana, but we started with the Minor Arcana because that's everyday people, situations, events, challenges. You're so much more familiar with those. Major Arcana are about big life lessons. Let's see. Yes. Oh, this is such a short chapter. I guess it's like we just learned 56 different cards, so the 22 Major Arcana should be a breeze. But it's only 3 pages and then the activities. So we'll probably do the next 2 chapters. We'll learn about the Major Arcana, and then we'll dive into learning tarot by the numbers. So within the Major Arcana, there are, which are all numbered cards, 1 through 22. There are different arcs of kind of like stories that those cards tell. I believe there's 3 different arcs. 2 arcs. You know what? That's why we're going to learn it. But in addition to that, in the minor arcana, we've talked about the court cards, so we can set those aside on the shelf for now. But the 1 through a 10, each of those numbers speaks to a different theme in the suits. I'd heard of this. I've not read that chapter yet, so I can't speak to it now. You'll have to tune in next week. But I'm really excited. Maybe you've noticed that the table of elements of a suit and court card really resonated with me. Well, being able to see the suit and the number and kind of combining those in my head to help me remember what different meanings of the cards could be is something that really appeals to me. So I am hype. I'm hyped for it. Ooh, everyone's putting their hype Drangia emojis in the chat. So those are the chapters that we're going to go over next week. I wonder, but then we're going to be through the minor arcana and the major arcana. I don't know what could be for the rest of, there's still so many lessons. So we have many Tarot Tuesdays ahead of us, everybody. Destiny, Moobot's going to yell at you eventually. I'll accept these hype ranges. I'll allow it. So what do we have going on tonight? I have to go get ready for my 7 o'clock stream. So that's over on twitch.tv/VVSpaceship in about 30 minutes. I am playing Obachan Panic on the Big Dungeon Show, which means I am a grandma with superpowers. It's a really fun and funny. Gosh, the 2 other cast members are hilarious. And our grandma master, Jen, is wonderful. So twitch.tv/VVSpaceship in 30 minutes. You can watch me play. Or if you want to continue your fun magical tarot vibes, I really recommend checking out Tea and Tarot at twitch.tv/Friday afternoon tea. If you want to just kind of have like a chill tea party tarot chat with Friday and Teacup, that's perfect. And they usually do different tarot spreads as well. So you can pick a deck that resonates with you, and then they'll do a spread with all of the different decks. And the one that you picked at the beginning, that'll be the tarot spread for you. That's really awesome. Dusty says, I've killed Moobot. I am Moobot now. Goodness gracious. Oh no, Moobot is dead. Long live the new Moobot. So I'm going to go get ready for my stream. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out on Tarot Tuesday with me. I had a lot of fun, as always. No Druidcraft tomorrow because I have another commitment to help playtest something for some friends, so I'm taking a few weeks off Druidcraft. But I am on a bunch of panels for D&D Celebration and PAX Online this week, so if you want the full schedule of that, check me out on Twitter at Lysa Penrose, and that's Lysa spelled with a Y. And you can find my full schedule in my pinned tweet there. But goodness gracious, I feel like I've said goodbye like 50 times now. Hang out in the thanks for watching stream, and we can go raid someone and make their day. Good night, everybody.